Good day, Elsa Johnson. How are you today?
I am just fantastic. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
That's great. 'Cause look, I know just a little bit about you, just enough to know I'm very, very curious. All right.
Oh,
So let's tell everybody about, tell everybody what is it you do and why we're going to be interested in what you have to say.
well, of course, I think what I have to say is very interesting
I
because
know it is. I know it is.
and the reason why I know it is because it's part of my own history and it's a lived deep experience that I now to get to do as my passion. So what do I do? I really in the shortest form of saying is I help people to think better. And I help them to think better so that they can have more success, more happiness, better relationship, better business, whatever it is that they desire.
Okay. Now, the our audience is mostly going to be business people, entrepreneurs. All right. Being one of those people, I kind of have a little insight. We have problems.
You don't say.
Entrepreneurs have problems, not employee problems, although they may have that, not business problems necessarily, although we may have that, but we have mindset issues, right? We have these issues where, we we have crises of confidence. We have crises of imposter syndrome, right? How do we as entrepreneurs, as business owners, get past some of that?
Well, you are absolutely right. And I know it myself, as I said before, because I've owned my own interior design business for many years. I've served for other small business owners in the capacity of running their businesses. And I have a financial background. And now I'm a coach, right? So what I have seen as a general trend is that most people, they get in their own way without even knowing it. And that's the first problem, right? I think it was Steve Jobs that says doing the same thing over and over again and anticipate a different result is stupidity. Yet we all do it. We might mask it so it has another name or another color or another employee, but it repeats itself. So that's the first problem, right? We need to start understanding and becoming aware of that we are actually tripping over our own feet. And the way to do that is starting to look at those fingers that point backwards when we point at everybody else making the mistake.
You mean when we go like this, how many of them are pointing back at us?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. So, but how do we do that, right? I mean, we have these limitations, but these limitations, are they ours, right? Do they really exist? Like, it's like, okay, I'm going to give you an example. New people in the bookkeeping business, they come out of the gates, they say, oh, I want to do this. I want to be self-employed. I want to make so much money, but I'm afraid to charge this much. Now, I'm going to say, well, that's a self-imposed limitation. And where did you get it?
It is absolutely a self-imposed limitation. Granted, there are business dynamics. We will put those off to a side for a little bit, depending on where you live and all those things. But the self-limitation in this particular one is saying, I only know what I know. Mm-hmm. I don't know what my client is really looking at from me, because being a bookkeeper is so much more than journal entry. It is relieving that business owner of a pressure of something they may have no clue about, but they have been collecting receipts in that shoebox for 2 years. And they sit on fears of what's going to be uncovered when they come out of that shoebox. So you as a bookkeeper, whether you are new or you're very seasoned, when you can offer that part of relief to a new client, that is intangible. Mm-hmm. And that's part of your value. So when you start looking at yourself and saying, what is it that I personally bring into this business? There's outside all these things that people call just bookkeeping, not just bookkeeping, but actual the trade of being a bookkeeper. Because you bring more, you bring so much more, and we forget how much more we bring.
I think when you say that we bring more value to that, you're talking about the transformation that we provide. We're not just doing your numbers so you can have clear books, but that peace of mind, that assuredness that they can provide is that value, right? All right. So if you're given what you just said, how does somebody attack that problem and understand that their value is bigger than what other people are telling you?
The first part is, do I really value myself? Do I value myself as a human being? Do I accept myself for my good, my bad, and everything in between? And how do I really look at myself? Do I feel like I have a seat at the table? Because if you don't even feel like you can walk in that door with confidence and saying, I know my stuff, I know I can do a really, really good job, then that limitation of asking for money for something that you may not have 100% confidence in yourself can be very, very difficult.
Is that a learned trait?
It can absolutely be a learned trait. It starts very early, right? It's like, even if you're very good at numbers, if somebody told you along the way you're not good at math, then you said, oh, am I really good even though I love numbers?
Who would do such a thing?
Well, let me go down the list. Okay. I know you shared with me that a lot of your listeners are females. Historically, it was a man who paid the bills. He brought home the money. I know then we transitioned into, okay, mom is writing out the checks. But a lot of it, as I said, historically, it's been the man that took care of the finances. So we have that old history, just societal history, right? Mm-hmm. Now you, as a child, you start understanding maybe a little bit about money. You hear about money from your family. They may not be good about money. They may be really good about money, but money starts having a value. So then you have that value piece in it. What does it mean for people? And you start understanding that if you grew up in a household that didn't have a lot of money, you have a lot of fears around money. And that adds to your own insecurity of saying, do I really know how to manage money? Do I know how to manage money for other people? Do I know how to show them how to manage money?
Okay. I love what you just said, but I have a question.
Oh, absolutely.
Is this a conscious understanding of this, or is this a subconscious programming that we're not even aware of?
We are not even aware of it. Because the funny thing is, what's your normal is not my normal. And what's normal to you, you don't think about.
Well, because it's normal.
Yeah, because it's normal. So if you grew up around a lot of wealth, that's normal. Money grows on trees, right? Mm-hmm. But if you grew up where every cent counted, then money are tight. Money is something that creates problems. Money is something that creates conflict. And that was your normal. So you don't think about it. It's just the way it is. So as you go into your business, you need to look and say, what is my relationship with what I do? And just sort of become a little bit of a detective in your own lineage, in your own environment, depending on whether you live in, where you live in the social economic, area. Because even in the US, we have so much spread between the different economic areas. And you can be in an area, and you could have moved into an area that was totally different than your own.
But you still subconsciously live in that area that you came from.
Exactly, exactly. So going back to your discussion, our initial discussion about what are your services worth, that also comes into that. You might know that over 3 counties over, I can charge so much more than I can in my own county, or the other way around.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing, is like, okay, well, if I know that I have these early programming faults, right? And let's say that I'm at a certain level income wise, but I want to get to the next level, whatever that level is.
Mm-hmm.
How do I do that? How do I fix that issue? If I'm not aware that I have a problem, right? I'm not
No,
aware.
you again.
Well, I'm aware I have a problem, but not what the problem is, right?
Sure.
So how do I go about fixing that?
Well, the first thing that starts happening is your awareness does start to bubble and saying, why? You start looking at these other people and saying, they seem to have a really easy time doing this, growing their business or doing that. And then you start thinking, well, I've done all the things. I've done everything that my business coach or my mentor told me what to do. I've done all the marketing that I could, but somehow it seems to never really get me to that next step. It seems like I just feel like I'm standing in place and not getting anywhere. Mm-hmm. So you do subconsciously already have that feeling that there's something off. There's just something off that's not quite. I should be able to do this, or I want to be able to do this. And then once that little kernel of, I just want to do it, right? When that gets big enough, that's when you're ready to actually really look at it. Because where you are right now, it has to be more painful than where you want to go, or the journey to get you there. And I'm not saying that personal development or personal growth, which it really is here, it's that's painful, but it is a process that you have to be willing to go through, because it might rattle some cages in the process. You might have to be more assertive than you like to be. You might have to stop being a pleaser or an imposter, or feeling that all your worth is in what you're doing, because sometimes success is actually, our current success is holding us back from becoming more successful, because what if I did hire that extra person in here? What if I fail? You start discounting all the things that could go wrong, rather than saying, hey, I would have more time to go out and meet people, which I'm awesome at, and I can bring in more clients.
So you're saying that folks should be reframing those thoughts.
Exactly.
So they pop up, instead of it being a negative or a hassle, they need to reframe it in something that's positive and beneficial.
You are so easy to talk to, because you understand exactly what I'm saying. Thank you for reframing that in such a beautiful way.
Well, I've had these conversations. I mean, we talked about a subject before we went on camera about the fleas in the jar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love that story. And I don't know if it's actually, true story. I know Zig Ziglar brought it up, way back in the day, and it is a biological fact that this has happened, right? But who did the experiment originally, we don't know. But the story goes, you have fleas, you put them in a jar, you put the lid on the jar, and through a process of repetition, the fleas figure out they can't get out of the jar. They keep banging their head against the top of the jar, bang, 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 bang. They don't like it. It's a pain. And so they understand, well, I can't get out of the jar, so they stop jumping that high, right? Nothing has happened or changed physically. They can still jump. You take the lid off the jar, and those same fleas, they no longer will escape, because they just believe that they can't jump higher than the lid of the jar. Now, what's interesting to me about this is not that learned behavior, but it's that the offspring come out with that learned behavior as well. They've never seen the lid on the top of the jar, but they do not have the belief that they can jump out of the jar. I believe that we have a lot of entrepreneurs that come from households and from cultures that limit their belief that they can actually be successful financially, even when they are entrepreneurs.
It is so absolutely true. Not only that either that they can be entrepreneurs, or they have to do it the same way that their parents did it. And then also the way what people in society look at them as doing. So I'm going out on a limb here, completely out on a limb. And this is just, we are so good at putting people in boxes.
Mm-hmm.
If you look around your community and saying, which cultural group has this type of business, or that type of business, or this type of business? No matter who you are, I bet you can name me 4 or 5 businesses that is traditionally run by a certain kind of person.
Ethnically.
Ethnically.
Yeah.
That is that programming you're talking about. That is like, this is the box you belong in.
Right.
Don't you think that you can go and create this other business? Or don't you think that you can go and be one of those people?
Right. I'll give you a great example in that the marketing field is full of white males.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I mean, you know, my partner is an actress by training. She's infinitely more creative than I am.
Yeah.
But she has no interest in marketing.
Mm.
And I just find it interesting that, you know, our field is dominated by people that if we really put, you know, emphasis on it, that we're not nearly as creative as the other half of the other sex.
Mm.
Right. And it's like, why is that? Right. It's probably because of the box you're talking about.
Yeah, you're put in that box, and because again, it's something that had happened over centuries, that the business marketing in itself, it's growing business. And who was traditionally good at growing businesses? That was males.
Yeah, and I think it's an aggressive game as well, right? And males have traditionally been brought up to be aggressive, to win, and you know, everything is a game that has a winner and a loser, right? It's like a all stakes poker game, right? You're either all in or you're all out.
Yes.
But it's really not that way. It's more of a not competition, but cooperation, right? And how it is a cooperation is, well, I can't help you if you don't help me, and I can't help you help your customers, right? And that's what I want to do. Is I want to help you so you can help your customers, who then can help their customers, or you know, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And I think that gets lost in that conversation, but it ultimately goes back to, you know, which box did we come out of?
It does come back to that, which box did we come out of? And are we brave enough to jump higher, right? That is that, like the flea, and that is that what people always talk about, you know, stretching your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. Stretching where you're going to go next. So if you're a business owner, like your audience, it's saying, oh, you know what, I really wanted to do this. I really, you know, because you have to have a desire. If you don't have the desire to go there, or even the idea, then it will be driven by something else. If somebody else tells you you need to build your business bigger, then it's not really your desire. You might be perfectly okay where you're at, right?
Right.
So you have to check in with yourself. You know, it's like one of my mentors says, check yourself before you wreck yourself. And give yourself that gift of asking, am I okay with this? Am I okay with my current situation? Because your size of business that you have may be okay, even if it checks all the boxes, that it was like your parents, or it was like people say you're supposed to do. But if it's okay with you, because it gives you time for your family, it gives you time for your hobbies, it gives you enough food on the table, a secure future, then by all means, go ahead. But if you feel that, no, I have more, I want more, I have a higher potential inside of me that is totally unfulfilled, then start looking, saying, okay, so what do I want it to look like? Seek mentors that can help you outside the ones that actually have an interest in your decision. Your family has an interest in your decision, your employees, your vendors, everybody that has an interest. Go outside of them. I'm not, come talk to somebody like me, or talk to somebody like you, or talk to somebody who does not have a vested interest, but that you have complete confidence in, that they will help you, serve you to your best benefit.
I think that's excellent advice. That's I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and that imposter syndrome, it's not just for people who are starting out, it's for everybody. You can get, this particular individual had reached $1 million in revenue. He said, well, when I got to $1 million in revenue, I thought, well, I knew everything and that I had made it. I joined this mastermind group, and all of a sudden I realized I hadn't made it. I just moved to a different level, and I again experienced the same fears and frustration, imposter syndrome that I had at earlier stages of my career. And so it's not like the money doesn't fix it, right? It is something. I think again, it's like a lot of the fleas, right? You get into a group of fleas, and they're like, "Well, no, you need to stay down here with us." And like, "No, man, I'm leaving."
Yeah.
But you get into a new group, and that circle is your new environmental nurturing, and it can bring up and trigger some of those old habits, those old feelings.
There's two ways I'd invite people to look at the imposter syndrome. It can propel you forward, or it can hold you back. The way that it can propel you, it's okay to feel like an imposter in those rooms if you don't let it crush you. It's okay to say, holy cow, what do they know that I don't know? Right. I got to get a piece of that pie, right? Because when you want to grow, the best advice that I ever got was say, be the stupidest, least money-making person in the room. Because otherwise you're not moving forward. If you're the smartest, you got to get out of there.
Right.
If you got
to get to that new environment that creates new possibilities.
Absolutely. If that's your goal. Again, I'm always about that personal choice, that personal leadership, and saying, what is the purpose, right? I might, if I was the smartest in the room, I might be there because I'm at a point where I feel so compelled to give back and mentor and help other people reach the next level, right? But if my personal goal is to move on up, or move on out, or move on over, I have to surround myself by the kind of people that I want to be at, to get out of that known environment, the ones that hold me inside that box or with that lid on it. And it's just so important to understand that there's really only, there's a lot of ways that we can really dig into from a mindset perspective to help you with imposter syndrome. The biggest thing that most people forget is action is the best cure. Just take, even if it's you fall completely flat on your bum, it's an action. Because like you just mentioned a little bit earlier, and was saying that the more money doesn't necessarily get you what you want. It's the fulfillment of creating it that makes it interesting. Because what when you have that money Now what, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do I want more money? Do I want more money? Instead of saying, oh, I learned this. This was really exciting. How can I learn more things?
Right. The personal transformation on your own journey is the same kind of transformation that you want to create in your own customers'
Exactly.
lives, right? It's not just about the thing that you do, but it's the results of the thing that you do.
And how you do it. And feeling that that is a full representation of who you are.
Yeah. No, I definitely, I'm so in tune with that conversation. Yeah, and I read this guy's book, Bruce Lipton, PhD, cellular biologist. He wrote this book, Biology of Belief. I mentioned our pre-show, and it's just a fascinating look at how, as humans, it is entirely our belief that can change our genes. We are not doomed to whatever level of success or failure that we think we are given at birth, because we can change that just by our thoughts.
Absolutely. And, science is proving now that they call it neuroplasticity.
Hmm.
They call it that you are able to do that, because I know this may be diverting the conversation just a little bit. What some psychiatrists have found, that children who goes through a very rough childhood, abuse, neglect, whatever they might come out with, they actually change their neurons. They change the way that they're processed. Their cognitive behavior is different than children there has been raised in a very loving, caring, nurturing home.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why that's important is when they become adolescents, if they start acting out or they start becoming depressed, many of the medications that are readily available doesn't really work, because their neurons fire differently than somebody else's.
Right. The networks are too strong to be dosed with medication at appropriate level.
Yeah. So you need to learn techniques where you can build that new those new neural pathways.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really a matter of connecting your left and your right brain back into it, because the left brain is that rational part where we do all the things we do everything that we've known, but where your right brain is more that older, wiser part of you that has creativity, innovation, all those things that really makes life so much more enriching. But a lot of people, especially in business, they forget that getting internal, and we all hear about being mindful in business, but this, I mean, more truly getting in connection with who you are and how your body reacts. And in our bodies, when, like you were saying, that we have these learned behaviors that has changed our makeup of how we think, we need to get back in there and do that repair work. And you can't do that by thinking about everything outside of yourself.
No, but I will tell you this about that neuroscience. I know exactly why Coca-Cola and Pepsi and McDonald's spend so much money on their branding, on their music, on any kind of scents that not dollars and cents, but the nose, the smell of their environments, is because through advertising, through branding, I can influence your decisions to make a purchase, and you're making that decision subconsciously, and you don't even know consciously you've already made the decision. And that's like, okay, all right, from a marketing standpoint, I'm going to use that.
Well, you're exactly right. That's what I tell my clients when I sort of explain this, is if you walk through the mall, way before you see it, where Mrs. Fields' world's best cookies are, right?
Yep.
That little smell comes dancing right into your nose, and you're about like, ooh, I'm hungry. I should have an oatmeal raisin cookie.
Yeah. Hey, look, there's the Mrs. Fields.
Woo, where was it? Where
Well,
was it?
that's a perfect example because people will argue, no, we do not make a decision subconsciously before we consciously make a decision. No, you do it all the time. You do it all the time. But what's happening is your conscious brain is trying to logically justify what your subconscious has said you're already going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, Elsa, I have a couple of questions for you. You ready?
Oh, I am.
What's something important to your daily routine you wish you had started sooner?
What that is starting the morning in peace.
All right.
Meaning waking up, not being hurried, waking up, taking my time, brushing my teeth, stretching, relaxing, meditating, if that's it, journaling, because it really sets my day up for so much better success than getting up and rushing. Now I would rather, even though I haven't had a alarm in a long time, if I had to have an alarm, set it a half an hour before, so I had that time to sort of wake my system up and be ready for the day.
And you wish you had started this sooner.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right. What is something you believed 5 years ago that you had to unlearn to get where you are now?
Say yes more.
Say yes?
Mm-hmm.
Like doing podcasts?
Yes. Exactly.
Okay. All right. And how did you unlearn that? What was the trigger there?
It's that comfort zone. It's oh, let me just see what happens. And starting to see, well, I'm a very I can't say calculated person in my action, but I used to be. I used to be so much more structured in, we've got to do this, we've got to do that, blah, 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 blah. Where I heard somebody say, I think it's actually when I first came across the Think and Grow Rich model, saying people who say yes more have more fun in life, have more joy in life, and it was really at a point where I needed that to really see, why is it that I don't have more fun? Why am I not more spontaneous? Why am I not this? Well, start saying yes more.
Yeah, I love that point. You know what? I'm going to make a post about that today. I absolutely am. All right, Elsa, tell everybody how they can reach you, who you work with, who you serve.
They can reach me. I like LinkedIn very much myself. So I'm at LinkedIn at Elsa Johnson Coaching. They can also reach me via Facebook, which is More Than Just Fine, or my name, Elsa Johnson. My middle name is Søgaard, which is showing my Danish heritage. And they can always send me an email at Elsa Johnson. No, sorry. Now I can't even remember my own email. Elsa at morethanjustfine.com.
Okay. Sounds good. We'll put all those links down here. Now, who do you serve?
I serve creative business owners, and that is people who want to create something for themselves, for their family. It's not if you're a painter, it could be if you're a painter or an artist, but people who are here on this earth to create something bigger for themselves.
Oh, fantastic.
And for whoever it is that they want to do that creation for. And the little caveat on that is they are typically high achievers. They're people who know they have that big potential, but they feel very stifled in knowing how to achieve that.
Okay. Awesome. That's a very, very select niche. I like it. I'm a big believer. I'm a big believer in the niche.
Well, as a marketing person, that means a lot that you're telling me that.
All right, this has been great fun, Elsa. I appreciate your insight into the entrepreneurial mind.
I appreciate that you allowing me to have this conversation today, and I look forward to meeting some of your audience. If they have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I always open for a conversation. No strings attached.
Very good. Thanks for your stumbling over the words. Thank you for your participation.
You're welcome.